everyone, good morning, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaelyn. I am a second-year PhD student in History and African American Studies at Yale, and today I am at Oxford in the UK to speak on sexual violence in higher education. This video is going to be a bit of a difficult one, and it's going to be a little different because today I am talking in front of a group of 800 people in person and online about my experiences with sexual harassment by a professor when I was a master's student here at Oxford, and about the experiences of students, especially international students, in elite educational spaces and their vulnerability to abuse by administrators, faculty, etc. And I feel very anxious this morning, as I think anybody would. I am going to be speaking on a panel with my co-complainant, Mia. So back in 2019, we filed a sexual harassment and general complaint against a professor named Peter Thompson. And I have a couple of videos on my channel about my experiences with the unfolding of all of that, and today we are speaking together on a panel. We have helped co-organize a symposium here at Oxford, but it would not be possible without the significant organizing efforts of several students here at Oxford, current DPhil students who have committed their time, energy, efforts, etc., emotional energy especially, to organizing this event, and they have done such an incredible job getting all the details put together, and it really would not have been possible without them. So this video is going to be a little different. I'm going to try to get clips throughout the day, mostly because I want to document this experience and have a way of remembering how I felt today. I really view my YouTube channel as a diary of mine. I look back on my videos all the time to remember things that my own memory is faulty on, and to feel nostalgic or to remember times of hardship. And today is one of the most important and one of the most difficult days of my life, and I want to record it today. And some people might not understand that, but for me this is something that I feel compelled to do. Some people write in diaries or journals. Some people use photography to express their emotions. My way of expressing what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking is through YouTube and through video content such as Instagram and Reels. And so this is my way of expressing myself. This is my way of filtering through my thoughts, and we're gonna go ahead and get the day started. So the event's being held at Somerville, so I'm gonna go ahead and get dressed. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna wear yet, and then I'm actually gonna go get some content around the rad cam and the Bridge of Sighs. I'm staying at Hartford College right now, so I'm pretty close to both in City Center, and I just wanted to get a bit of content while there are few people out in the streets, and that way I can take out the camera and get some bits and pieces. And then I'm gonna head over to Somerville and help get organized. I know some of the other organizers are there with the AV team at the moment, so I'm gonna head over there as soon as I am ready. I'm just pausing for a minute on my walk to Somerville because I'm walking down Museum Road, and this is the street I used to walk down from Somerville to the Rothmere America Institute, where I used to have my historiography seminar with Mia and with the rest of my cohort, as well as Peter Thompson. It feels weird re-entering spaces that used to be so integral to my time here, and spaces that hold really difficult memories for me. And one thing I really wanted out of this trip was to re-enter these spaces and to make different memories. And I don't know, I just wanted to take a second and pause and talk about it and take a deep breath. And I'm gonna continue on to Somerville. Let's go ahead and get the symposium started. Hello everyone, my name is Kaelyn Grace Apple. I am currently a PhD student at Yale, but prior to that I was a master's student here at Oxford. I was involved in the co-complaint along with Mia and several professors against Peter Thompson, and I make online content about my life as a graduate student, and along with that I made some videos and other content around my experiences here at Oxford and the complaints process, and what that has meant for my academic career and will continue to mean for my academic career going forward. I came across the Atlantic in order to be here today because I felt like it was an important thing to be a part of. It was an important collective that I was involved in, and I truly could not have gone through the process, and I probably would have ended my academic career in my master's had it not been for Mia. Prior to me going to my supervisor, or prior to me ever speaking to an administrator, I had found friendships in the cohort. And when I had had these experiences with Peter Thompson, my immediate go-to was the only network that I had at Oxford, which was Mia and others in my cohort. And because of that, luckily I had people to speak to affirm the things that I was feeling, and also to support me through the process of going and speaking up. Had I not had that, I don't think I could have done it. And it was also largely beneficial because Mia had been here, and she had contacts where we could speak through the administrative process, and we were getting mixed messages from every single level of the university. And the messaging from the department was that you needed to stay quiet, you couldn't tell anybody, you couldn't tell your family, you couldn't tell people in your college, but because it was a collective effort, I had somebody to go through it with, and I had my supervisor and I had others that were also there to support me. And I recognized in that moment that that wasn't a common experience, and that I was capable of going through this experience because it was a collective, but that is so often not the case. And that's why having these connections and having groups of complaints coming through is so important. A lot of victims, especially at Oxford, are only here for 9 months, 3 years. They go off for field work and then they graduate and they've left. So how do you maintain those relationships, those communications beyond? I left in 2020, and at the time when we received the final decision of the complaint, Mia had come to me and said, I'm going to go to the press. How would you like to handle this for yourself? And my answer was that I was not in a position where I felt that I was capable of going out and talking to journalists. I had just started my PhD at Yale, and I was deeply worried that his influence, knowing that he was still at Oxford, would weigh heavily on the relationships that I was seeking to build at Yale, and that would become my only reputation. However, when the podcast came out back in October, that felt like the call to action. That felt like this is the moment when I have an opportunity to either join this and fight and continue on and to re-engage in this conversation, or I can look away. And so ultimately, I decided to re-engage and to continue using social media and using the networks that we had created in order to have these conversations, not just about Oxford, but about institutions all over the world, in the UK and in the US, etc. And I think that it's an important thing to keep in mind, is that it's also about moments of reprieve, like knowing when to collectively organize and when to put in the effort and build that momentum up, and when you need to take that rest. And we've also talked a lot about self-care today. And so taking that moment and then also winding up in order to make the changes that are necessary, and also to get people back in the conversation at the right time. Hello everyone, good morning. It is the next day after the symposium and I am so exhausted. I slept pretty well last night and I slept in a bit this morning, and now I have to pack up and prepare to head off to London. But I wanted to talk for a minute about how the symposium went. I still feel a little emotionally frayed from the event and everything that came with it, but it was such an important and incredible experience being surrounded by a community, both with the organizers and with the people in the crowd who joined both in person and virtually, and just seeing the change that needs to be implemented. I just feel so thankful to the organizers for having done so much labor to get everything up off the ground, and I am just so thankful for everybody that watched and that supported and that messaged and everything, and that is continuing to take action. One major takeaway that I have from yesterday was from Madeline's opening speech, which it hit home so hard that I actually had to leave the room because I started crying. But she said, "Don't call us brave, or don't say that we're brave unless you're willing to be brave yourself, because we don't want to be brave." And that just really resonated, because that's what I've been, I guess, frustrated or having difficulty with, is feeling like there are people that are quote unquote supportive, but that have the power and have the position and influence to make that change happen, and for this to not happen to future students, and they just aren't. And I just find it really frustrating. And so we have some specific asks that we're going to send out, and a couple of them are for administrators and for faculty, and especially senior tenured faculty that have the position to be able to speak up. So the plan is that that email will go out sometime this week, and I will bring some of that back to Yale. I have a lot of things that I really want to do in terms of continuing the conversation on the other side of the Atlantic, and I know that the US kind of dominates this conversation, and I'm still very much involved in wanting to support the discourse and activism that's occurring here in the UK and across the world. But there's still a lot at institutions like Yale, institutions of power, that are not establishing practices that are survivor and victim focused, and there's a lot that can be done. So I'm feeling really, really exhausted, if I'm honest, and I feel very kind of emotionally vulnerable. It feels freeing, but it also feels exhausting. And so I booked myself this trip for London because I kind of knew I would be pretty worn out afterward, and I wanted to give myself something to look forward to. I am really looking forward to going to London, and I'm staying in Kensington, so I'm really close to Hyde Park, and I'm looking forward to just taking a couple days to myself. I don't really have any plans while I'm there. I'm just going to explore and just have a good time and just be by myself, and I think I just need that. And I also feel like my time at Oxford finally has a bit of a conclusion, and that is both freeing and also really sad because I really loved my time here with my friends and at Somerville, but I also have a lot of painful memories, and there are a lot of spaces here that remind me of my time with the complaint. However, this experience has really allowed me to walk back into those spaces and make new memories, and that has felt really good and really restorative. And I feel like the city gave me what I needed out of it, and now I've seen my friends again and I've gone back into those spaces, and I'm ready to move on, and I'll be back for research, but then I can come back in a different capacity and not come back just for this or things related to my master's, and so that feels really good. I am gonna go ahead and pack up my things, and then I'm gonna take myself up to a nice big breakfast. I'm gonna take myself over to the breakfast club over at the Westgate and just get myself a nice big stack of pancakes. I'm gonna bring my book, and I'm just going to take the morning to just kind of relax and walk through town and then head over to London. My check-in time is until 4, so I have a little bit of time that I have to kill in between, but that's my little update. I just wanted to check in because it was a really heavy day, and I know that I got a lot of messages from people asking how I'm doing, and I really appreciate the messages. I just haven't really been in the mindset to answer them. And one thing I said during the conference, during my presentation or during my panel, was that for me, my form of activism or my form of solidarity or expression is through YouTube, and I feel so much more comfortable talking about how I'm feeling and what's going on to a camera than I do in print. So it's a lot easier for me to talk about what I'm going through via YouTube than by responding to messages. And so just know that I see them and I really appreciate them, and that this is my way of saying thank you. And I'm gonna go ahead and pack. Breakfast, and I'm now going to head back to college to pick up my bags, grab a taxi, and head over to the train station, and then head over to London. I've gone ahead and made it to London. I have a couple hours until I'm allowed to book into my stay at Sonder, so I am just walking through Kensington. I had some dim sum that I just stopped and was craving, so now I'm slowly walking back towards Hyde Park. We're just gonna hang out for a little while before having to check in, and I'm just having a nice little solo trip because I had plans, but unfortunately the person I was meant to meet up with got sick. So I am just solo traveling it through London, and honestly, I think that's probably best. I feel like I have some thinking and some sorting through things that I need to do, and it feels just really nice to be back in London. I haven't really gotten to explore here very much, and since I'm planning on spending the summer here, it's exciting to get to check it out a little bit more. So I'm gonna check in a little while, and I hope you all are having a lovely day. I am now in my Saunders stay. I think they technically call it a hotel, but it's good, like long-term kind of Airbnb style rentals, and you don't get the whole apartment or anything, but it's just a nice little room. I just have a single bed, and I am working on booking my stay for the summer because I was planning on staying in this exact same Sonder for when I come back, but I think I want to be a little bit more central when I come back next time. And it's been really nice being next to Hyde Park, but I can definitely tell that if I were to stay in this particular area, I'm not as close to a tube stop. So I switched to a different stay, but I will be staying with Sonder again because they have an app and they manage all of their bookings through this application, and it's so easy to get in and get out, and everything's really clean, and I'm really liking it. So I went ahead and got myself some takeaway because I just am feeling really drained from the last, honestly, like months. I feel like all of this anticipation up to the symposium is just finally off of my shoulders, and now I just want to sleep. And I got some sushi and completely forgot to film that, and I'm almost done eating my slice of cake, but I got some boba too, and I'm just really enjoying it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end off today's vlog because I'm gonna do a little day in my life in London tomorrow, and I want to send this off to my editor, so thank you, Kate, for editing, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little series of me back in the UK. Believe me, there's a lot more content coming. I know that it's a little different than my normal content, but it's stuff that I really like watching, and I am really loving being able to do it. So going back to Oxford and being in London, and we'll be back in London this summer. So hit that subscribe button if you want more UK London content, and I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye everyone.